I'm just going to give you a bird's eye view of what this Dawa thing is about. So just like Mary said, this is the LMI picture. So when we say Lmi Holdings, it's a holding company that houses 4 groups of businesses. So you will see the arm that handles industrial utility. I'll explain that. Then there's an arm that handles logistics. Then there's an arm that handles land development. And then there's an arm that handles construction. So the whole picture of LMI tackles everything industrial utility, logistics, land development, and construction. Now, our focus for you in the relationship we are building together with GREPA is about industrial parks and special economic zones. That is why you see that as I go along, I'll be talking specifically about Dawa and maybe what we call the Meridian Industrial Park. This is just a summary to say that the world, particularly the continent of Africa, is now zoning into industrialization as the only catalyst that can change the continent. So the conversation about industrial parks and special economic zones is becoming a very active thing at the center of changing the economies of the continent. And Ghana is a little bit farther away from the countries on the continent that is taking the conversation about special economic zones a little bit more serious. Thankfully, Dawa and the Meridian Industrial Park is ahead of this conversation. So there are 2 critical parks I'm going to speak about. Where you are is what we call the Meridian Industrial Park, and it sits in the Tema-Free Zones Enclave. And this is just a picture giving a bird's eye view of how it looks. You'll be touring it this morning before you go to Dawa briefly. And on my right, every company you see there, these are blue chip companies, global in nature, are all resident and running on this side of the park. The next park that is important to know about, which you will also have an experiential tour of, is the Dawa Industrial Zone. And that is the main reason why we are having this open house session. And Dawa is a 2,000 fully serviced land. So when you get into Dawa, you'll be stepping into a 2,000 acreage industrial zone. And then what is good about it is that there is provision for power that is just dedicated for that industrial zone. And it is able to supply power, maybe in literal terms, twice the size of the power that Accra uses. And so it has enough power to absorb any kind of industrial installation. And then there is high-speed internet that powers it as well. So if there is any factory that comes into Dawa, there is provision not just for power, there is also provision for internet and data. And then there is also provision for first-class road infrastructure network. So when you get in there, you will see that we have the capacity to make it a place that you just plug in your factory and then you start work. However, we haven't done this asphalted or block paved works across the entire 2,000 acreage. We bring it to speed as the occupancy grows. So for example, if we have say 10 companies now, where they are occupied, we do that construction to make their work easier for them. And then we keep developing it as the occupancy grows so that it matches same. Other than that, when you finish all the infrastructure ahead of occupancy, it can deteriorate, and by the time the new people are coming, you have to do it all over again. So that is just an efficiency conversation. Then we've made provision for civil works and engineering support for those who would want to build their factories with the support we give them. They don't want to do it themselves. We are able to do that kind of factory installation through our civil engineering support and then civil works. And then most importantly, we are having an extension of a 20,000 acreage that will constitute what we call the Dawa City. And so we just want to move away the difficulty of everything locked up at the center of Accra, and possibly even now Tema getting a little bit congested. One little hitch on the road that gives you access here and you get stuck. into a whole industrial town. So the Dawa city is going to break that myth and make it possible to stay and live in that place without having to bother to do anything outside of Dawa. So that is basically the picture about Dawa. Now the future looks like this. The whole project future looks like this. Everything that matters to industrialization is going to be centered around the Dawa picture. So you will see that there is a proposed site for airport. You will see that there is a real connection. You will see that there is a solar farm, a water treatment plant, and almost everything that brings a 360-degree feel to the Dawa industrial zone. So Dawa is actually the future of Ghana's attempt to industrialize. So when we say Ghana beyond aid, it is nothing more than industrialization. It can't happen without it. And the government cannot literally put the infrastructure that will make it happen. At the moment, the two different parks that translate the Ghana Beyond Aid conversation and even the Container Free Trade conversation and make it real is a Meridian Industrial Park, which is here, and the Dawa Industrial Zone. Because as I speak, this place is full. It's almost full. And if we want to really do much more, Dawa is the next picture. And so this is the future of Dawa, and anybody who wants to site any factory must be looking at Dawa seriously, because you can easily miss it. It's just 2,000 acres and it can be full any moment from now. Now the arm, when I started, I said there are 4 arms. The utilities arm is driven by the company called Southern Utilities. And so the associate company that does the power, everything power supply, the substation and all, is called the Enclave Power Company. And then those that handle water is called the Southern Water. Those that handle data is called the Datacom. And those that are now giving an alternative source of power, clean energy, which is solar, is called the Helios. Because the world is now moving into carbon credits and decarbonization, and we are already ahead of that with the Helios. So that's a company that handles that. Then you can't do industrialization without logistics and warehousing. You have to, when you finish your production, you have to store them somewhere. If you are even bringing in the raw materials, you have to store them somewhere. When you are done, you are packaging them for export, you have to store them somewhere. And you even have to handle the logistics of moving them either by road, by air, or even by port, by rail, or even by sea. All those things is logistics and warehousing, and we have that provision as well. At the moment, you tour one of the biggest land mass spaces that hosts, say, the biggest warehousing facility in West Africa, and on top of it is going to be a 16 kV power source. That is a solar kind of power that complements the hydro that we have here. And so you will see this as well. But the point is that the company that complements that kind of service, so that when you are here, you don't need to think about anything, is the company called the International Warehousing Company. And so this is the 3D version of what you are going to be seeing today when you get there and you do your visits. Then another disruptive venture attempting to still deepen the logistics for our industrialization effort is what we call the Transvolta Logistics Corridor. It's basically doing a connection from Tema Port all the way through the Sahelian regions by rail and by water. And this is also something that is powered as a project by Lmi Holdings, so that if we want to bring raw materials from, say, Burkina, cotton, we push it on the rail, it comes straight to Dawa, or it comes here. When it is done and it has to go out, we take the pressure on the road off, and then we use rail again all the way back, and then it serves the purpose instead of the trailers and the things that go by road. And then in between there, we are creating the Pakadan and the Debris stations that will also make by river a possibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to Dawa. If you are serious about being a professional broker, as I know you are, and you want to broker any deal in relation with getting provision of industrial land for anybody who wants to set up a factory, there is no place in Ghana at the moment and West Africa at the moment outside of this place and Dawa. that can give that service. And as you go through today's store, you will be told how much it may be. You'll be told what your broker fees can be. You'll be told how you sell what you sell. You'll be told everything that complements and make your work easy, to be able to also introduce this to anybody who wants to set up a factory. Welcome to Dawa Industrial Zone, and have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you.